The Lord of murder shall perish, but in his doom he shall spawn a score of mortal progeny. Chaos will be sown from their passage. So saith the wise Londo.
Hi there, welcome to Mages and Murderdads, episode 14. Playing Siege of Dragonspear, I'm Cameron.
I'm Danny.
I'm Kelsey.
Whoa! A third one.
Hi.
Yeah, so Kelsey is joining us for this episode. We said earlier in this unofficial season, that we were going to have some guests. We were going to mix it up. We're going to do all that kind of stuff. And here we are. We're mixing it up and we're doing all that kind of stuff.
It's real.
Well, that's a sweet hot rod that I just heard.
I'm literally doing a wheelie. I'm so excited.
It's so good. But yeah, Kelsey, do you want to like introduce yourself? I know you're a Baldur's Gate fan.
I am. My Twitter avatar is Imoen, so.
Mm-hmm. Heya.
Heya is my name. But I'm Kelsey. I did Stream Friends. I'm the editor-in-chief on nerdybutflirty.com. And I work in a library.
Ooh.
Candlekeep.
Oh man, you remember our opinions about that institution?
I do.
Oh man,
no, Candlekeep is bad.
We're ideologically opposed.
It's nice.
Well, you're the above the surface kind of worker. You're not responsible for the kind of stuff that happens below ground floor.
Yeah, I had no access to those maps.
Yeah.
Did you know? This is a complete aside that's just about Candlekeep, but it's definitely the kind of content that Mages and Murderdads viewer listener is all about. But Forgotten Realms, canonically, there's a dragon that lives underneath Candlekeep.
Dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
We
That's
just
cool.
kind of zipped around it, I guess.
He was sleeping.
I guess, or he wasn't. We just didn't go down that branching pathway.
Yeah.
He couldn't get past the basilisk. That's the problem.
Dragon's greatest weakness.
Mm-hmm. Being turned to stone.
Yeah.
We'll find out about that in Baldur's Gate 2.
Mm-hmm.
In like 8 years. But yeah, so right here at the top, like I say in literally every episode, you should do these things in this order. You should follow me on Twitter. You should hit like and subscribe on our channel here. You can follow Kelsey on Twitter now. I'll put that in the little link in the description. You can support the show on Patreon, and you can click the little link to go to Facebook to like our Facebook page. Lots of people have been doing that. That's really helpful. We really appreciate it. I've gotten that down to like a science.
You have.
We're pretty good at that now.
Mm-hmm.
And by we, I mean I.
Yeah, sure.
So, Kelsey, everyone is familiar with our characters. There's Ticklevar, the state-based lover of law and order who doesn't realize he's becoming a god, and Balthazar, the murder man. Charitably, a murder man. So what is your character?
Mine is, her name's just Kelsey, because that's what I do with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a dragon disciple, which is an offshoot of the sorcerer. It's a new kit, and I've played Baldur's Gate 2 like 1,000 times, so I was like, I'm just going to try a new kit this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that one sounded really cool. And it means that you also have dragon blood, so I don't know how that figures into your parentage, but whatever.
Oh, man.
But she's a half-elf, and she's at level 9 right now. And anytime she can be sarcastic, she is.
So there's like ample opportunity for sarcasm in Siege of Dragonspear.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah,
She's level 9, so is she also doing a solo run?
No.
Oh.
I have a full party.
Okay.
And I did for all of Expanded Edition. Or Enhanced, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Enhanced Edition.
And I also want to point out that I'm playing on story mode, which basically means that you can just click on an enemy and they are dead.
Oh. So you've done
So-
every quest.
Yes.
Mm.
So I don't have to deal with any of the combat nonsense that you guys have to go through, which is really nice. Because, I mean, I can do the combat. I've done it before. But if you don't want to, then you can just hit story mode on the enhanced edition and you don't have to bother with it.
You're
And if
telling
you
me-
want the full combat experience, you can just listen to Mages and Murderdads and hear
Exactly.
Kunzelman just like bemoan Ticklevar's existence, and you get the full experience.
I mean, I get it if you don't like slamming your hand in a car door over and over again. But, you know, that's just me, the guy who likes slamming his hand in a car door. You know, different strokes for different folks.
I just don't want to reload 47 times.
I love it. That's my favorite part. I've gotten like muscle memory now of hitting the load button.
It's probably to the point where you've like beaten a boss and just by reflex reloaded without saving, just because that's like what you're used to.
Yeah, that like classic Tony Hawk's Pro Skater way of hitting reset.
Yeah.
Yep, I've been down that path. So, Kelsey, what's your party right now then?
Right now, I'm trying to stay as close to canon as I possibly can. The canon being the party you end up with in Baldur's Gate 2.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I have Minsk, Dynahar, and then they won't let you have Imoen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Safana, the thief girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to take 2 new people because I tried to take Viconia, but I'm too nice, so she just left. She's like, I can't deal with this anymore. I gotta go.
My reputation is like in a hole in the ground. It's like 9.
Mine is 18.
Oh, it's too good.
And so then I have Corwin, the lady
Mm-hmm.
archer who they give you at the beginning, and McKinn, who we meet in this chapter.
Yeah, I also have McKinn.
She's cool.
I really like McKinn. I
Me
think
too.
that's a very weird character.
Yeah.
So I guess we can talk about that. So the beginning of this chapter, at the end of the last episode, we left Baldur's Gate because there was the march toward Dragonspear, and we get to, I don't know, we get like halfway or something. It's very unclear about like why we stop here as opposed to anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Well, because this is right before we... Yeah, this is right before plot important stuff.
Yeah, sure. So, but yeah, so there's just like a camp, and we're just making camp here and wandering around. And so you can get a couple different characters here. You can get a guy named Baldur?
Mm-hmm.
Balor, something like that.
Balor, yep.
So you can get him. You can get a thief of some sort. There was like a gnome that was running around, and I didn't want the guy in my party. He was like too funny. I don't need that in my life. Glint.
Glint.
That's right. Glint. So I said no to Glint, but I did get McKinn, who is a goblin shaman, which is also a new kit, I think, right?
Yes.
Oh, so in order to get McKinn, you got to do a little side quest, right?
You gotta do a little side quest. Mm-hmm. And we can talk
Which is the
about
same
that.
way you get Balor.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Same little side quest. And we will talk about that side quest because really this entire chapter, short of one plot-oriented thing, is just side quest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you could probably... I think we were talking about before we started recording, I think you can basically get past the plot of this section in less than 5 minutes if you wanted to.
I feel like you could. I don't know. I didn't try. I went through 80 hours of dungeon delving, which we will talk about because Christ on the cross, what a bad time! Just oh my God.
That's why you need story mode.
If I wasn't so far, if I hadn't already crushed my hand in that door, I would be on story mode.
You've got nothing left to lose at this point, is the thing.
Yeah. So like kind of in a broad view kind of way here at the top, I feel like all the things I said in last episode about Siege of Dragonspear and in the episode before that about like design decisions that I like and don't like, this game is doubling down on design decisions I don't like.
Okay, we're gonna cross that bridge when we get there. But
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that before we... Oh, yeah, look at this pun work happening.
No.
I'm sorry I called it out mid-pun, but
Yeah, I know. But before we like get to kind of the side quest content, let's just get the like plot important stuff out of the way. Because you start at this camp, You are told, hey, before we head out, you can scout around. And I think Corwin says, hey, you want me to come with you? Or at least me. And I was like, no, I want no one to come with me. And I'll like scout ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can just go up the road a little bit and you come to a bridge. And and a thing happens there.
Well, yeah, just do the whole story then.
Yeah.
You don't have to pitch it, but I appreciate the throwing it back to me here, but
yeah.
You can just...
you want nothing to do with this section. Okay,
nope,
that's fine.
I'm good.
So yeah, you get up to the bridge, and a little cutscene happens, and there's just a ragtag group. It looks like one of those like mercenary bands from the first game. You got some gnolls, you got like an ogre, you got some folks, some people, and there's a ragtag group, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's that guy, it's Balthazar, and he's not accompanied with anybody. What do we do?" And someone freaks out on the other side of the bridge and throws a fireball. And like, there's some friendly fire situations that happen, and you have to fight these people. You have to fight these Kalar Argent Crusaders.
Mm-hmm. But what do they do to the structure that they're standing on, Danny? What happens?
Well, the bridge is sundered. It's struck in twain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where and betwixt those two pieces, there's naught but air.
Correct. Correct. It is impassable.
Mm-hmm. They blow up the bridge.
They blow the bridge is not. It's not there. There's a lot of movies made about that. And so anyway, after a timer, I guess, or maybe when you kill somebody, I don't know. I killed one person, and then Kalar like butts in. And do you remember what Kalar's like? What the gist of that conversation was?
Please don't kill them. That party is sad. They've died a number of times already today.
Is that what she said? What?
No, she doesn't say that. She says, blah, 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 blah. I'm an Asimar. I'm not a child of Baal.
Okay, and already I'm going to stop you there, because remember when, at the very first, when we started Siege of Dragonspear, I said, if she's not a Baal spawn, it's going to be a really big deal that she's not a Baal spawn. Mm-hmm. Because it is telegraphed so heavily she's a Baal spawn.
Because they say it.
Because they say it.
Someone says she's a Baal spawn.
Yeah.
In the opening
like a
cinematic.
Narrative voice of the game threw that out there.
What if the narrative voice of the game is Duke Belt? Have you thought about that?
It's entirely possible. So, but the actuality is, oh, she's not a Baal spawn, and it's totally like not a deal. Sorry, the narrative person at the beginning of the game just got it wrong. I'm actually an Asimar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is like a
it's the yang to the tiefling's ying.
That's maybe the least helpful way of describing what that is.
Although 100% accurate.
It's 100%. So tieflings in Dungeons & Dragons are a species of person who have part humanoid, so like elf or human or whatever, and then part devil in their blood, in their lineage. So Asimar are the opposite. They have solar, a solar's blood.
Yeah, just like an angel or something like that.
Yeah, the D&D word for angel.
Mm-hmm.
Big ol' winged folk. And I think later in the series, I'm pretty sure, and Kelsey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we kill some solars eventually.
Yeah. Yep. That does happen.
Yep, buckle in for that.
So there are a few ways this conversation you have with Kalar goes. Kelsey, what was your conversation with Kalar Argent like?
I basically said, you don't have to do this. There's still time to turn back. And I asked her why she was doing it also, and then she explained her nuts plan, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's not gonna work.
What was the nuts plan?
She's gonna ride into hell and get all of the people who died in Dragonspear and take them back out again. And I was like, they're not gonna be the same people, for one thing. And for another thing, that's never going to work.
This section of the game doubles down so hard on the most nonsensical Forgotten Realms D&D ass narrative I've ever heard. It literally is all right, do you remember that very obscure event from the Forgotten Realms official calendar. And you're like, no, I don't. And they're like, well, let me tell you all about it. There were 2 dragon spear wars, and you see Merkul hold up in, like, dragon spear during the Tantris, the second book of the Avatar trilogy. And, right, so, like, oddly enough, those books that we did not continue reading are deeply, deeply important for this goddamn game.
I have all of those, but I haven't read them yet.
Oh, you're not missing a single thing. Except why the Dragon Spear Wars are important.
Yeah,
but it's just like this weird edge case of lore that in this conversation, as Kelsey is pointing out, Kalar Argent just makes it the most important thing in human history.
Yeah.
And literally is using that to unite the North. Right? Like, that's why the Crusade is happening.
Well, it's just something everybody can get behind because those wars killed so many people. So everybody's got a relative. Everybody's got some.
Hell. Like, they're trapped in hell.
Just universally. Yeah, when she, like, posed that, there was a part of me as, like, the player, as Danny, that said, boy, that's a weird plan, and I, like, considered choosing that. But as Balthazar, like, that's not like, beyond the pale for Balthazar. Balthazar's reaction is, well, are you strong enough to do that? Are you really tough? Are you tough enough to do it? So I just kind of went with it a little bit. But, yeah, I think my first reaction when she asked to parlay, I was like, it was like in all caps, you can answer, your words will not save you from my sword, or something like that. And I felt like a real cool guy.
There's like a 15-foot gap. Like, you could take a running jump and get over there.
Yeah.
To, like, sword fight Kalar Argent if you really needed to.
And that water doesn't look that deep. Like, you can probably just wade across it.
Yeah. Like, this is like... Narratively, we are being told this is the Mississippi River. Visually, we are being told that this is like the creek behind your house.
Yeah.
Like, it's
there's
not.
There's a little dissonance here, but
I was just like, because there are a bunch of options where you can just be deeply confused about the whole thing, and that's what Ticklevar chose every time. It was like, well, are you sure they're in hell? Are you sure they're there? Like, I don't think that's right. So that's what I went with. And she just doesn't get annoyed or anything, but she certainly is like, you don't yet understand. And then she, like, went away. So that's what I went with.
Fun.
Well, that's one word for it.
So I guess we'll have to find another way around this river.
Oh my god, you have to find another way, and the only other way is, like, 80 miles north.
Yeah.
And if you look at the map, it seems like the next... bridge is right beside Dragonspear Castle, so you probably should have went there anyway.
Yeah. She was just doing us a favor.
Yeah, so that's like all the story content of this chapter.
That's legitimately it.
That's the whole thing. But yeah, so now we're heading to Boyarskir Bridge. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's where Ball died in Waterdeep, the third Avatar trilogy novel.
Convenient.
So convenient. And we're going to have like 50 visions, I bet.
Oh, it's going to be real. Something's going to happen there.
What if not? What if we go in and it's like, hey, look, pay the toll. And you're like, I don't want to. And say, all right, that's fine. You're the hero of Baldur's Gate. Whatever.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, 2-to-1 odds. It's entirely possible.
So what did the two of you end up spending your time doing in this chapter then? Because this took me 5 hours.
Yeah, I've got 4 hours and a half of recording time.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's something saying really quickly. There will be Danny video capture for this episode.
That's awesome.
You've probably seen some already.
Oh man, it's gonna. So it's Balthazar when you just see a solitary figure that's really blurry because he has a cloak of displacement on, and he's just like a haze in the middle of the screen. Yeah, that's real.
Okay.
But yeah, let's face it. This chapter is just the dwarves of Doomathoin.
The dwarves of Doomathoin.
I did that last because I saw a cave and I was like, I know what's in there. I will explore everywhere else that I can before I come back to this cave.
Well, let's talk about some of the other stuff you can do then, because there are like some smaller side quests. And let's talk about those first, because the dwarves of Doomathoin literally took me, I would say 4 hours, like straight up 4 hours. Yeah, and it was just a nightmare. But yeah. So you want to talk about the blackest pits or the blacker pits or whatever the heck it's called?
Yeah, I guess this is a callback to an expansion we did not play, the Black Pits, but up in the northwest corner of the map, you'll find a basically like a cockfighting ring.
And it literally is. There's chickens fighting.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And this drow character, who we're supposed to know from the Black Pits expansion, is coordinating this, and the peasants and the refugees feel very cheated because they were told that this would be some real elite gladiatorial fighting, but it is in fact mundane animals. And he will even like occasionally summon animals, and he'll like say, "Oh, it's a honey badger," and it's really just a squirrel.
There's literally a honey badger joke. It's painful.
Yeah, it really ages the writing, not necessarily the game, because by the time the game came out, that joke was no longer funny, right?
It ages me 10 years just having to hear it.
It's like being level trained.
Yeah, you know what? I got real life. Level drained IRL, as we call it. So how did Kelsey, how'd you find this?
I don't like that character, that Baldur guy. He thinks he's very funny and he's not. So I basically, I told him to quit this. This is nonsense. And I told him to let the girl go. And then there's no real option to tell him to just go away forever, so I just sent him back to camp.
Yeah, I thought I would have an option to slay him. To be like, I don't appreciate any of this. Because so you can free McKin, who is this like goblin shaman woman, who is like the most dry. The read of the lines from the voice actor for McKin is very strange. Because it's like
she's
raspy.
And not a lot of emotion either, and I don't know yet if that's like an actor choice or what.
Yeah, I have no idea. But you can summon like a ghost snake to fight people with. And that's pretty cool. Because she does like a shaman dance. That's her thing. Also, she has a non-fire fireball that she can shoot.
Well, what's it made out of?
Spirit juice.
Spirit ball.
It is spirit ball. I like in my mind I was calling it spirit bomb the whole time.
Well,
so that was okay.
That's cool. But yeah, so there's the blacker pits. You can like collect some stuff for one of the refugees. He has when his house is burned down. I think it's a halfling.
It's his inn burned down.
It's his inn. Yeah, it's his business. And I feel really dumb because I did that quest. So I like collected a mirror that 3 times a day can identify something. You know how awesome that would be for Balthazar? But no. Yep. I gave it to this guy along with like a cool shield which you get from another side quest that we'll talk about, and some other thing, and he gave me a dart that returns to you when you throw it, and it like has a 10% chance of lowering an enemy's armor class.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
It's real depressing.
I picked up that mirror that identifies things 3 times a day, and I was like, I'm never giving this up. This is the best item in the game.
Yeah, it might be. Oh,
I couldn't find the sword, so I'm just walking around with the mirror and the shield. I'll have to go back and find it.
Yeah, I did not even look for the other 2 things. I was like, well, all right, sweet mirror.
Yeah, the shield was the hard thing to get, because in order to get that, well, Kelsey, how did you get the shield?
So when I left to go to the other bridge, I saw the other wilderness that you could explore. I was like, oh, I'll go do that instead, because I always do the thing that I'm supposed to do last. So I went over there and I found the 2 people who are hunting the vampire. And then I just went and made a sandwich until it was dark. And I came back, and then the vampire was like, why are you even trying to kill me? And I was like, why are you even trying to kill them? And they didn't tell me. So me and the vampire killed them together. I took the shield off their body.
No, that was the same thing Balthazar did. Yeah, these two vampire hunters were like, "Hey, we're killing a vampire," and I said, "Hey, that's a halfling shield. He wants that back."
Yeah, I said that too.
And they said, "Well, look, we definitely need this more than a halfling does," which I thought was pretty racist. And
it's messed up.
And and so they said, "Well, look, help us with this vampire, and I'll give you the shield." So I come back after dark, and it's exactly right. During the confrontation, the vampire says, "Look, you don't have anything to do with this. Do you even know why they're trying to kill me?" And I said, and like Balthazar's been tricked probably 20 times in this gosh darn game.
He's a deeply trickable character.
He is. And I asked him, "Well, hey, why are we killing this vampire?" And they don't even answer. The vampire hunter is just like, "Well, look, if you're not with us, you're against us." And they just attack me. So,
are you telling me you got George W. Bushed?
Oh my God. Well, fool me once. Shame on
Dick Cheney me one time, shame on you. Dick Cheney me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Colin Powell was the only man with that from that administration with integrity.
Oh man, bringing the hot content.
I know. Look, we've had Kelsey. I don't know if you watched our Destiny video, and this is for everyone else to watch it. But there's a long form, divergent conversation about George Herbert Walker Bush.
Oh, okay.
That everyone should go check out. I'll put the link for it right here.
Yeah, it was so compelling that the first comment on that video was, "I have no idea what you guys are talking about."
It's that deep cut for the Mages and Murderdads audience.
We see on the way over to the zone with the vampire, I met Ski, though.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And Ski's still being a precocious little kid that doesn't want her dad to know about her.
Is she in the first? Because I never met her in the Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, at the tail end, if you're walking around the Ducal Palace after Saravok runs away, and if you go up into the second level, this is at the very end of the first Baldur's Gate. At least in the Enhanced Edition, I don't remember if this is the case in non-Enhanced Edition, but she is walking around.
Oh, okay.
And she says, like, hello.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was, and I told her, she's like, "You don't remember me?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, in the last episode, we talked about how many times, and I've made a supercut, in fact, of how many times she says the word daddy. And I was expecting to make more supercut content, but she doesn't say it a single time here. It was a real acting choice in those lines.
It's like the first few episodes of Rick and Morty versus the last few, where you had Rick Sanchez just kind of like tone down the amount of times he said Morty, Morty, Morty. Maybe the voice actress was told to like kick the daddy down a notch.
It's maybe a little bit too much. It's like 80% more daddy than we need for the Baldur's Gate universe. I mean, it's already a pretty daddy-focused series.
True.
It's true.
One might say exclusively daddy-focused, really.
Kunzman, I think you wanted to talk about these humming stones, though.
Best quest in the game so far.
Oh, really?
No question. Yeah, there's this Prin, this person hanging out, and it's like these big Stonehenge-style standing stones. They got some runes on them and all kinds of stuff. And you can just walk around and hum and sing at them. There's 6 on the map. You just walk around, and then eventually you find out that there was a bard named Cromus, and he was trapped in the stones. And he had a his like Romeo and Juliet style lover was named Carline, and she was betrothed to an evil mage, and the evil mage didn't like Cromus, right? That kind of fantasy side quest story. And but yeah, so they're like both dead, and they're both kind of trapped here. But what I really liked about it is that you can Carline shows up, so the spirit of Cromus like coheres in front of you, and you're having this conversation with him. And then Carline shows up, and you can say, "I have Danni here in my party," and I was able to. Oh no! McKinn I had in my party, and I was able to say, "Hey McKinn, can you help me calm down this ghost?" Because Carline was saying she was going to kill everybody. And then McKinn was like, "Yeah, be calm, ghost." And then it worked out. She was.
Fun.
I know. I was able to do that with a riddle at some point, too.
Yeah, I did that with Dynahar.
Yeah, what was the riddle for? I don't even remember.
It was just one of one of the stones, when you sang to it, also asked you a riddle, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I had to just calm her down with just me because McKin wasn't in my party yet. But she calmed down once I said, it's him, look at him. It's clearly not the wizard.
Could have been.
Yeah, I failed the riddle, and a shadow fiend spawned and drained my level. And then I had to take 5 of my actual minutes in my life to walk down to the camp and then get greater restoration and then rest.
This
and
is
then
really
continue.
preparing us for Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah.
And the immense amount of level drain that appears at the very beginning of that game.
No, it's
You know
real.
what's another good thing about story mode? You never get level drained.
Oh, this is blasphemy. Really thrown it in my face here.
Well, I think in order to talk about, I think a lot of the next chunk, this next big quest we're going to talk about, which is the Dwarves of Dumathoin, Kunzman and I are going to be talking about combat encounters. But Kelsey, I want you to give us your overall impression
Yes.
of what this quest was like in story mode. So just like narratively speaking, how did you feel about it? What did you like about it? What did you think the strengths and weaknesses are? Yeah, let us know.
Okay. Oh, now? Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, no, like in 2 weeks, I want you to like really sit with it for a little while. I
didn't know if we were going to do
This is going to be a two-parter.
Yeah, the second part is just this, but in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now.
Okay. Can I just talk about Ophilus real quick because he's really funny?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we forget about Ophilus.
So Ophilus is the guy who
Lost all of our money.
lost every single bit of money that we have. Yeah.
I had 115,000 gold.
Yes. Yep. He's a real nightmare. Real piece of garbage, that Ophilus. Yeah. We in the episode that is not out yet, but will come out soon this week because we're recording. We record a little bit ahead of time. We probably talk about Ophilus for 15 minutes.
Oh, perfect.
And about the weirdness
He's my
of
favorite
that.
part of this so far.
Yep. Okay, sorry. So,
Did you guys get a gold bust from him?
yep. And I got an achievement for getting a gold bust of my
too.
own body.
I was laughing so hard. But so now I'm just carrying this around and I really want to like put it somewhere, but I wish I could decorate.
Yeah, so Ophilus shows up. He's like, I'm real sorry, y'all, that I lost your, like, small country's worth of wealth. But here's a gold bust, and I immediately sold that thing.
Oh, how much is it worth?
300 gold.
Oh,
Great
But yeah,
return
so-
on investment.
when he came up to me, I was like, oh, he's got it, great, because I don't have that much gold now because there's not a lot to sell yet. I couldn't even buy mead when I was in Baldur's Gate. Like,
Whoa.
I wanted to buy some mead and I had nothing, so I'm like, oh, perfect. And then he gives me the head and I had to laugh.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's good balance. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know why this makes any sense, because I have an entire gem bag full of gems. And so I just sold them all in this chapter and made like 15,000 gold and then bought a bag of holding with that money.
Nice.
Yeah.
The bag of holding is where it's at.
Yeah, I love it.
It's real good. And that's not in Baldur's Gate 2, right? Like that's in...
It is.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that I don't necessarily know if that loot carries over, though.
Well, we're going to find out.
We will. Okay. But yeah. Oh, Phyllis. But
He's
yeah,
good.
so the Dwarves of Dumathoin, Kelsey, hot takes.
Okay, so obviously whenever you're going to go into a cave in Dungeons and Dragons, you know that there's going to be a big dungeon down there. And I don't particularly like big dungeons. But in story mode, they're all right. Because you don't have to... It just feels very... Combat for me is annoying because I just want to get to the next story part. So story mode is great for me. But this was all right. Like, there's a couple things in there. Like the big laboratory is a little weird. Because it's not immediately clear what's happening in there, especially if you don't go in like the proper order, I guess.
Yeah, so there are, on that second level, there are kind of two puzzly sections, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. But the first, so I found that there was like a real split in design between the first level and the second level. Because the first level, so like the way you find this cave is there's a dwarf outside, a mercenary by the name of Darren Highhammer, and he's fighting off some zombies. And after you kill the zombies, you can talk to Darren, and he says, "Oh my gosh, the cave's been overrun." And in that conversation, you find out this is the most cowardly mercenary that has ever lived.
He's been up and down the Sword Coast a million times, bro. He thought this was going to be nothing.
I think he says like 80. I'm like, that is a lot.
That's a lot of times. They live to be pretty old, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he's not as experienced as he is. Still, no integrity. He was hired for a job, and he left. He bailed.
Yep.
So you can go inside, and there are a handful of dwarves in there. One of them by the name of Brother Auckland Deepvein. And they're fighting off zombies, and you can help them kill zombies, and you find out that, they're like head cleric Gurn Coldhearth. This is some fantasy-ass dwarven names.
Yeah.
Gurn Coldhearth is lost somewhere in the depths of the cave, and they need to find this Gurn fellow. So this first level is just a series of rooms with monsters, and there's just no gimmick whatsoever to any of these rooms. And it's a lot of like undead creatures, but also some like maggots and such. Right?
Well, let's take a minute to acknowledge that there's a friendly hill giant.
Etten,
He's
right?
so sweet. I love him.
No, I think it's a hill giant because Ettins have 2 heads.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and he's like real cool. And Darren literally says he's super cool because a mountain fell on his head. He tells you that.
Really?
Yeah, he says at the beginning.
Darn.
Mm-hmm. So there's some real like Linny style gentle giant stuff that's kind of weird going on there that gets glossed over, I think.
Yeah, that was so glossy I completely slid off.
I did not even. I don't think we had that conversation.
Oh, I
It elided me.
We're really we're getting our own fantasy style language here. But so he's just like, you can go rescue him, and I really like that. He was like, thanks. He's like, all my dwarf bros are dead, and you're like, dude, they're literally 10 feet over there. They're in the other room, and he was like, oh, sweet. And there's like a really nice like little scripted event of them like meeting each other again. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like Simha a lot. He's adorable.
But in this first level, you do meet your old friend Level Drain, or your new friend, kinda. And every time Balthazar was level drained, even once by an undead enemy, I had to walk all the way back to the camp and pay for a restoration because it's just Balthazar, and like I can't beat these fights with 2 levels gone. I guess for the uninitiated, level drain is like negative energy from certain undead creatures in Dungeons and Dragons will actually de-level your character. So you will be effectively, like if you were level 9, and now you're level 7. And you have the hit points of a level 7, and you have the like mathematical bonuses of a level 7.
And the spells of a level 7.
And the spells of a level 7. And it is just like utterly crippling. And I think that in like default, in like old school Dungeons and Dragons, you would just like get the experience penalty, and like in a lot of situations there you couldn't get it back. That was just resources that were drained from you. Good luck.
Yeah, it would be hard. You would have to like find a priest or whatever. And if you read through older modules and things like that, priests are kind of hard to come by.
Yeah. So what probably the least fun mechanic ever. Like it's difficult to, because all it's doing is just draining my time as a player.
So
like
I never
doing nothing else.
I never got greater restored.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I think Viconia was level 4 at one point through this dungeon. Like I just brute forced my way through it.
That's impressive.
Wow.
I didn't know that there was a priest in the camp that could restore you. I just thought you had to get through it. No one's ever accused me of being like a wide-minded experimental player here.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's harder. I guess I just have to play twice as long.
Yep, that's what happened. But here's an interesting thing: when you do the entire mission, like when you finish the whole thing, you can talk to one of the dwarven priests, and he will greater restore you for 1 gold.
Ooh,
he will do all of the priest stuff for 1 gold each.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That is nice. So yeah, that leads us to, so you clear out the first level.
Did you guys find the bard's corpse?
We did. That's great. Yeah, Kromus is... So when you talk to Kromus the ghost, he says, hey, I was buried in a tomb or something over here. And then at the edge of the thing, like, it reveals a new little area to you. And it says, if Kromus hadn't have told you about this, you wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And so you get a hat that only bards can wear. You get boots that anyone can wear. And then, like, a sweet medieval guitar that only bards can use.
Mm-hmm.
I felt punished for doing this quest.
The boots are nice.
Yeah.
And I think that the hat was one of the writers. Like, she has that hat in real life, and I think they put that in there for her.
Well,
she must be a bard.
It's not in there for me, let me tell you that.
Well, if you were a bard, that would be a treasure trove.
It's true, that really would be. But I don't think there's a sorcerer's treasure trove in this game, is there?
Probably not. I'm a sorcerer, too.
Yeah, we gotta find that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so otherwise, pretty simple first floor. Like, that's a first floor you could find in any... you would not be surprised to, like, find that randomly in the wilderness of, like, just a Baldur's Gate, right? Yeah. Of, like, Baldur's Gate 1. You're like, there's a cave and there's, like, a few things in that level. But there's a second level called the Repository of Undeath, which automatically, like, alarms are going off.
Yeah.
And it is the #1 most metal metal album cover name of all of Baldur's Gate. Siege of Dragonspear.
And this is just straight up Durlag's Tower prologue dungeon stuff.
I like that is the absolute, like, bottom crevasse of design for you. Is Durlag's Tower.
But that's the thing. So here, I know that Kunzelman and I talked just briefly before this. I don't think Kunzelman has a very positive outlook on what this dungeon was mechanically. It won me over. It was tough, but it won me over. So I think we're going to get to this. But so yeah, it crosses off all the checks that the prologue had. These rooms with encounters that are just hard as nails.
They are set piece encounters that are meant to be taken as like not as like speed bumps along the way to a conclusion or a big set piece. They are a set piece in and of themselves. Every fight. Yeah.
Like every fight is as hard. There was no like fight that was like, oh, that fight was easier than this other fight. They all felt the same, to use like some language we talked about in episode 12, the same CR level. Like they were all just right there. One of which, there was only one enemy, the Bronze Sentry, which I hope Kunzelman includes this footage, because after Balthazar kills the Bronze Sentry, I pause, go to the character tab, and double-check what the most difficult enemy I'd ever killed was, because I was certain that he would usurp the Demon Knight. Like, that's how hard that fight was.
Yeah, it was two-shotting every single one of my characters. And so I had to, like, haste everybody and then run, like, a complex Benny Hill kind of situation of, like, getting one person hit and then running away and getting one person hit. And if you go too far in one direction, there's a whole other encounter that you run into. So it's, like, running backward. In the room before that, there's a trap with Cloud Kill attached to it, and I couldn't run into that shit, so I had to, like, run around the edge of the room.
Cloud Kill is the worst.
Cloud Kill is, when I get Cloud Kill, it's going to be great, but...
Yeah. Any area effect spell.
Yeah.
Playing in story mode, my worst annoyance is web, because that still affects me, so I'm just like, you have to wait real minutes.
You can't rest. You can't rest through it.
Right. Yeah.
Which is just like in real life, because when I'm camping and I'm trying to sleep and I know there is a spider web 15 feet away outside my tent, can't rest. Can't.
It's a simulation. It's the most Gygaxian thing in the whole game.
Yeah, no, totally. But yeah, so it had those kind of encounters. You had to like collect some scepters to put into a pool, and you could use these potions, and you could pour them into the pool to like see visions. And this was a scrying pool. This was pretty cool, and you got a pretty nice chunk of experience for each time you looked at the scrying pool. And you had three choices. You could look at Kalar, you could snoop in on the hooded figure, and you could also check in on Imoen. when you did these things.
Yeah, so Kelsey, which one did you do first? I bet I can guess, but...
Imoen.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happened in that thing?
We went back to the palace, and she's learning magic from... It's one of the Grand Dukes, right? I can't remember her name.
The not Belt and not...
we called her Jessica for a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Duke
So she's
Jessica.
learning magic from Jessica, and she's like, I can't concentrate, and it doesn't seem like I should be doing this when Kelsey is out, adventuring.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica's like, well, this is important too, and, you have a lot of potential in you, and then, Imoen finally focuses and can do some magic.
Theoretically, it fades to black before the magic happens.
True. I just assumed, I guess.
I did too, but I'm like, you think the game would be like, yeah, she can do magic missile now. Great work.
Wasn't there like a little shield that appeared in front of her or something?
I'd have to go to the tape, and I'm not going to do that right now.
Okay.
But really interesting to me. So, much like Danny did, I dropped Imoen as soon as possible in Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, Baldur's Gate 1. I have only spoken to Imoen throughout these games when the game has made me speak to Imoen. That's it. Like, Imoen will be part of my party in Baldur's Gate 2, because I do like that kind of canonical party, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in 10 years when we get there.
Yeah.
But in this scrying kind of thing that we're watching, Imoen is like talking about the deep friendship that her best friend is out adventuring and all that. And I just love the like personalized narrative that comes out of that, is that Imoen believes that we have a deep, deep, close emotional connection, and Ticklevar does not care about her at all. And it's just like, yeah, I guess I grew up with that girl, didn't I? Guess she's my quote-unquote sister. So,
Yeah, and you actually had her in your party for an amount of time.
for like a couple minutes, yeah.
For a couple of minutes, whereas I don't think that Balthazar ever had her in her party. Or
Yeah,
if she forced herself into my party, I immediately dropped her because
you were
I
like
wanted to do the whole
on
thing
the coastway.
solo.
You were on the coastway, and you were like, "Hey, I'll be right back. Give me just 2 minutes. You wait right here. Wait right beside the sign." And then you just never came back.
Yeah,
And she can't even go back to Candlekeep because she didn't have a book.
Yeah, she made a bad choice. leaving
she
Candlekeep.
did. She did in that universe. Although, knowing what we know now about Candlekeep, may be the right choice.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could also look at Kalar. I thought this was the least interesting scrying pool.
Same.
Just looking in at Kalar, because it was more or less just a rousing speech from a politician that said nothing. There were no policy specifics in this speech.
I wonder if this was designed before the bridge scene that we saw, or if they were written kind of concurrently, because it is her just restating exactly what she told us on the bridge.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if you can be like profoundly negative on the bridge maybe, and just like refuse to ever speak with her, and you don't get any of that Dragon Spear Wars kind of stuff. And so this is a way of assuring that you'll see some of that before it comes. Like, because I agree, there's like, it's just restating things that we already know. I do think this is visually very interesting. There's like 1 million enemies on screen at one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
And
Like the amount of sprites that they can put on screen now, as opposed to the old Infinity engine.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's the same engine, but with computers being more powerful now, I guess they can put more sprites in and feel more confident that the computer can handle it. But like even in the first, you guys probably talked about this, but there's so many people in Baldur's Gate in
Yeah.
the first part of the game. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really feels difficult to walk through a town like I think it would if it was a real town.
Yeah, no, I really love all of that. And yeah, I mean, now that we have more than 32 megabytes of RAM, I guess
Right.
that it's probably better. But yeah, I just love, and I like that it's like a bunch of different kinds of sprites. Like almost, it looks like it's been randomized in some ways. So, there's like hobgoblins, and there's humans, and there's dwarves, and I liked all of that a lot.
Yeah, I do have to think, though, that every time we see a large, diverse group, it is a bad thing. In this
Baldur's
game.
Gate, it is 100%. Yeah.
Like, every time you're able to unite the multiple races of demi-humans, you are up to no good. And, like, the state, it is like either, okay, you've got the Crusade, or you've got these, like, pan-racial, pan-ethnic, like, mercenary bands that are just, like, hiring their services out to whomever, even the Iron Throne, right?
Yeah, there is no good story of cosmopolitanism in Baldur's Gate. Like, you just can't be like, there's no Morocco, right?
Yeah.
So I agree. It does not paint a good picture.
Yeah. But so yeah, that was kind of, other than the aesthetics and the crowds, which, like we said in the last episode, that leaving Baldur's Gate scene was super cool. I think this was cool in that. But I do think the one that stole the show was the hooded figure and like the weirdness of this cutscene. So what happened in that cutscene, Councilman?
Oh yeah, so this is we don't have in the show notes, but the guy's name that he's talking to is Heffernan.
Mm-hmm.
And so Heffernan we learn about. Heffernan is like the number 2 to Kalar Argent.
Yeah.
And he's like, he kind of looks like a blood elf from World of Warcraft, honestly.
Yeah.
He's got like long blonde hair, he's got pointy ears, he's kind of got that kind of thing going on. And at some point in the game, someone told me about Heffernan and said that he is a priest, but he is a priest that says he serves all gods. So he's a cleric of all gods. It's kind of unclear what that means. I forget. Someone told me about this in conversation in the game somewhere. And so, yeah, this thing with the hooded figure is we see the hooded figure kind of like dimension door in, and he's talking to Heffernan, and they're having this like weird conversation about Heffernan serves their master, and it's clear that they're not talking about Kalar Argent. And then the hooded man's like, "Don't talk to me like an equal, punk." And that's kind of all he says, really. And
yeah, and there's a little like weirdness because they're talking about the ball spawn, and there is the implication that they are talking about you. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of, and you sense a possessiveness on each of their like. It's almost like the Heffernan's like, "Hey, you can't call this guy." And the hooded figure's like, "Hey, I didn't do anything. I just talked to him. I didn't." And so both of these individuals are interested in you. And this is one of my favorite narrative points in this game, is that the game it's not this on-the-nose note that you read in your stepfather's chest that reveals everything. It leaves you in this ambiguity, of this impending, this is all going to make sense. I really like this scene.
Yeah. I think there's something really interesting about Baldur's Gate 1, and we've talked about this a few times, but Baldur's Gate 1 being a political thriller that hinges on a mystery that's not really a very good mystery, right? But like the political thriller aspect of like all the different Iron Throne things and all of that, like that being really cool. And then Baldur's Gate 2 being a game that hinges on a mystery that actually really works as a mystery, right? And this is like truly the thing to check out in 10 years, right? Because this is going to come to bear like when we get to Baldur's Gate 2. But
I don't think it's going to take you guys 10 years.
I'm conservative with my estimates.
Also, you always slow roll, so you never disappoint.
Exactly.
We've been talking about this for a while, and you said you didn't like this, and thus far, when we're talking about the Dwarves of Dumathoin, you have said, I like that, I like this, I like that. So what is it that you don't like?
About this like whole quest area thing?
Yeah.
Oh wait, let me finish my thing.
Oh
before.
sure.
So Baldur's Gate 2, big mystery. Siege of Dragonspear is trying to replicate that kind of mystery thing. It seems like so far, and I'm going to be very disappointed if it ends up being closer to Baldur's Gate 1 mystery revelation than Baldur's Gate 2, if that makes sense. Like I'm afraid they're going to mess it up.
Yeah, I mean they just don't have a lot of room, right? Because the narrative space is so small.
Well,
the
viewer listeners don't know that, though.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Okay, but yeah,
I just don't like. So this repository of undeath, second part of the thing. So it's all these set piece fights, and all these set piece fights basically have you going like room to room and collecting magical objects, or basically like answers to riddles or answers to puzzles. And then you do the puzzles, and then it like ends up in a very pat ending, right? Which is that there's a lich, and you can literally use a magic object that helps you kill the lich, and you click on the magic object, and you beat the lich to death. And then you find his thing. What's
Phylactery.
Phylactery.
Horcrux.
The Horcrux. You find his Horcrux. and then you go destroy it, and that's the thing. Like it feels very much like a Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 module that we have opened up to like a side quest in the middle. It does not feel like it is. It feels closer to the skeleton of a tabletop thing than it does like a Baldur's Gate quest, if that makes sense.
My main annoyance with it was when you first walk down the steps and then you're in a library and you pick up 4 books and they're all about liches.
Exactly.
And it's like, I wonder what happened to the dwarf. You know? And it ruins what could have been a pretty good surprise. Like if you got to the lab and it was, because you find like the burned out phylactery and stuff and you're like, oh, okay. I don't think you needed those books.
Yeah, I agree. Like maybe that's it. I'm really glad you said that, because what I don't like is that, and whether this is on purpose or not is up for grabs, but I think that Baldur's Gate 1 had to trust the audience because of the way that those quests were designed and the way the writing was done. I do not think Siege of Dragonspear trusts me to be able to put 2 and 2 together, ever. Like because like that's why those books are about liches are there, right? They're there. And
not even just one book. There's 4 books.
Yeah, and each one is the answer to a different kind of riddle,
right?
Or a puzzle that exists, right? So it's like, I don't like. I think there's got to be a happy medium between like the complete random walking around that Baldur's Gate had, and then like the hard as nails. There is one solution to this dungeon of Durlag's Tower, and I feel like Siege of Dragonspear is not hitting the balance that I prefer between those two things.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, we've already talked about it, but you solve all the puzzles, you kill all of the enemies, you get to this final room, and you see a dialogue between the newly arisen Gurn Coldhearth from a ritual, and a lich. I can't remember if the lich himself had a name. I think it was just Lich.
Yeah, I think he was just a lich because he was a part of the overmind of the Shadow King.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, is that in Baldur's Gate 2? Is the Shadow King in Baldur's Gate 2?
I can't remember.
That I remember.
Okay.
But anyway, so they have a brief conversation, and that lich is like, hey, stay off the Shadow King's radar, dude. And Gurn's like, hey, I'm keeping his name out of my mouth. That's 100%.
You don't got to tell me about the Shadow King. I know about Shadow King.
So it's just very obvious that Gurn has just been raised as a lich. And then a quest icon comes up that says, oh, you should probably tell the other dwarves about this. And the reason why that quest thing comes up is, so Balthazar immediately disregards that and goes down the stairs. And you start a conversation with that guy, and the second option is, well, like, it's a long story, but it ends with me killing a dwarf lich. Like, I went with that option.
Of course.
And he immediately goes into combat, and then contingency triggers.
Yep.
And when contingency triggers, like, 5 different buffs go on this dwarf, including, like, fire shield and ice shield. And you cannot harm him. Like, Balthazar cannot hit this guy.
Yeah, he gets Stone Skin, and then, like, Greater Malazan can hit you, and then Time Stop occurs.
Yeah, so, like, the first thing he does is, like, debuff Balthazar, like, dispels all magic on Balthazar, and then he casts a spell that takes, like, 10 seconds to cast, and then, like, I really love Time Stop. This is the first time we've seen this spell in the game series, but when you pause in Baldur's Gate, it goes to grayscale, and when enemies cast Time Stop, it goes to grayscale.
Yep, except for them.
Except for them, yeah.
Which is really cool.
But, so anyway, I tried that fight 12 times. Without going back. I figured out that if this game still has the bug where if you initiate dialogue before they initiate dialogue with you, it allows your character to walk to them. And so I would then initiate dialogue right next to him, and I was able to get like 1 hit in before the contingency triggered. And on one time I got him to like 25% health because I critted him for like 60. But then it goes up and he's just invincible. So this game like forces you to go back and get a trinket, which like dispels his invulnerability basically, at which point he is super killable. I don't necessarily like that. That felt very gamey to me.
And until you find that, he just keeps respawning.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which is annoying. Even in story mode, because he still has all those buffs and you, like, none of my characters could get through it. So I'm still trying to wail on him and trying to figure out this, like, where I gotta go to destroy this box. And, you know, I think he respawned 5 times before I figured it out. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And he was doing cloud kill every time. He didn't do time stop for me, though, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird for me. So I like went to the dwarves and got the item to like dispel all his stuff, and then I got the
I didn't do that.
So I did that, and I got the phylactery, and then it was like basically I ran out of the magic item, but I had his phylactery in my hand, so he was respawning, but I couldn't run all the way back up to the top stairs in time to like get the new item, so I was kind of soft locked in like in between the respawn and picking up the phylactery. And so what I ended up doing was like casting haste, putting the item in Corwin's hand, running Corwin all the way from the Lich's area to this is the most like garbage part of the whole thing. There is a like a broken portal to hell.
Mm-hmm. Or to the elemental plane of fire, I
The
think.
elemental plane of fire. And so yeah, I will admit to spending a lot of time there thinking that eventually these waves of enemies that were spawning would go away, and they didn't. So I fought like a bunch of salamanders and fire elementals.
What's the worst is I clear the whole dungeon. I do this, and I've read the little puzzle things, and I know from his diary that in order to destroy the phylactery, I'll need to expose it to like something not from the material flame, like the elemental plane of fire. It says it very explicitly.
Yeah.
But when I cleared the dungeon, the like hallway to the area with the portal is pitch black. Like it's in this one room and it's in a corner.
Yeah.
And
You just
so
couldn't find
I
it.
spent 45 minutes like trying to like put this phylactery in other fires that weren't the fire I was supposed to put it in, until I like what it is I went to map, and there's a checkbox you can hit when you hit M that says show borders. So it will show you if there's any non-contiguous areas. Like, it's very obvious if you haven't explored. And there was, like, one area in the pitch black that I did not, like, it was not a wall. It was, like, it continued. So
Good God.
eventually, you go there and you throw the phylactery in, and you kill the Lich.
But so what I had to do, so I have Corwin, who's hasted, running over there. Monsters would spawn, but I would just run to the middle immediately and then click on it and then destroy the phylactery. But it cuts into a cutscene that does not pause enemies. So I had to try it 2 or 3 times while these salamanders spawn and just beat the crap out of my character while I'm waiting for this cutscene to finish and then run away. It was awful. It was like they did not think. I am deeply displeased with the design of that part of the level in particular.
It's difficult for me to like measure it, because there's a part of me that thinks that if this entire dungeon were plopped into a random place in like the southwest corner of the map in Baldur's Gate 1, I don't think we would be as hard on it.
I don't think I would have gone there. I think I would have gone in and be like, this is way too hard. There's a lich here. I'm going away. I'll go like talk to a cow or whatever and get equal amount of experience points.
So I don't think any of the 3 of us did this, but I think that you can, instead of, because after you kill the Lich, you can talk to good old Brother Auckland, and he'll like, well, I'll swear my loyalty in the coming Dragon Spear conflict against Kalar.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way to solve this by getting Gurn Coldheath, the Lich, on your side instead.
Oh, yeah, because when you talk to him, like I
Oh, yeah, he wants you to find those necklaces.
exactly.
And I had them already, and I was like, no, you're not getting these. You're going to do something nefarious with them.
Yeah. I had a couple from the priests just dying by themselves, but I think you have to get all 5 of them. So you have to go kill everyone.
Yeah.
In order to actually complete it. Because I was like, yeah, I'll give you the ones I have. And he was like, this isn't enough. And then he just aggroed me and attacked me. But yeah, I didn't want to do that. I don't want a lich on my side.
No.
They're bad.
Oh, they're so strong, though.
Not that strong.
Well, not
I
that
beat
strong.
him up.
But imagine how much more dangerous Balthazar would be if he could cast Time Stop.
If he had a buddy, he had one buddy, and that buddy was a lich.
No, Balthazar is not buddy. I'm talking about if Balthazar could do it. Balthazar will never have a buddy again. It's too annoying. If there was a lich sidekick that he would like interrupt combat occasionally with dialogue being like, "Hey, I want you to go find some necklaces for me," and then like threaten to leave constantly because you're not finding the necklaces. Oh God.
Yeah, don't pretend like you had to deal with the struggle in a real way. Don't pretend like you had multiple party members leave while you're like hanging out in a mission, like I did.
That's literally what happened to me in a previous dimension.
I guess that's true. That's true. But that's it. That's all the stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot of content in this chapter.
A lot of content, or a lot of time spent doing that content.
A lot of time.
I present that merely to you. So, how many chapters are in this DLC? Do we know?
I don't know.
I think it's 11. I think that's what it is. I briefly looked,
Okay.
but I can't remember now. It's not that long.
Yeah. So
And that was chapter 8 that we just did, if I recall.
Yeah, that was chapter 8, and as soon as you click on Boarskir Bridge, because I wasn't sure where this chapter ended, and so I clicked on Boarskir Bridge to go to the next thing, and that triggers chapter 9.
So there are 13 chapters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the content.
Yeah.
Like I said at the top, if you enjoy the show, hit like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Go to our Facebook. Follow Kelsey on Twitter. You used to be able to follow Danny on Twitter, but you can't do that anymore. And you can support the show on Patreon for as little as like $1 a month. There's nothing lower than that.
They can't like custom put a fraction of $1.
No, I don't think so. But they should spend like $5 a month on it because this show's real good.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for joining us, Kelsey. This was really fun.
This was great.
Yeah, thanks.
I love the podcast, so it was great to get the invite.
It's so great to have like not only a super cool person, but a super cool person that is a fan. Those are the best kind of super cool people.
It's true. And I am like genuine. We say this every episode, but genuinely impressed by the people who like the show and who comment on the show and who share the show and all of that. Like we are deeply surprised every time, and really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
That is it. All right. Well, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
So saith the wise Alondo.